Wiping it on your jumper before you know it. And he refuses for the time being, but as a hardened glasses wearer, I'll tell you that's what it ends up coming down. I too, once upon a day, always had a little cleaning cloth with me, Des, and now I just wear a cleaning cloth.
I haven't got the solution either, because that was also in my suitcase.
Solution?
Yeah. It's so good, though. You spray it and it's like...
I know. It's fantastic.
It's brilliant.
You just get bored of carrying it around. I mean, you know, obviously, anybody out there using it, make sure you keep on top of it. It keeps your glasses in tip-top condition, which mine are not, but...
You'll see, mine are only a few weeks old, so we'll carry on for now and see how we can do. Let's see how we do then with our bans. Finka, Nook and Mira all being taken away. W7M removing that Finka from the board. A go-to operator for many teams, many entry players these days. So I'm not surprised to see that being the first off the board. And Nook has been an incredibly popular operator here at the Major, both in ban presence and in pick, alongside Azami when it comes to being banned or picked too. Mainly because she enables such transformation of so many different sites in the game. We think on this map about library holds, for example. She can make that doubly annoying for an attacking team to deal with. And when you pair it with things like a castle that is no stranger to the map of Chalet, it just makes things really irritating for attackers who have to then start bringing multiple Gone 6s, Ash, Zofia, any kind of range destruction they can think of just to get through the utility that gets set up.
In we go then. It's going to be round number one. It's going to be Bar and Gaming. And as I said, I am looking forward to this one. Gaimin Gladiators versus W7M. Two teams with very different timelines ahead of them beyond this game. W7M, unbeaten so far, looking absolutely electric, to be fair to them. You know, I'll hold my hands up. I was one. I didn't question whether they could do it or not. The ability is absolutely there. The only asterisk I had next to W7M was we haven't seen them online yet. And we know that that can have a big impact on teams, but boy, have they stepped up. So W7M already qualified for Friday and beyond, potentially, should they win any more games in the playoffs. GG, Gaimin Gladiators at the complete opposite end of the spectrum. If they lose this one, they're done. They're out. It's over. They need to be winning both remaining games, really with the full 3 points to give them any opportunity to go through into the playoffs. So it is... like I say, two very different stories here. But the question mark now is this: what are we going to see out of W7M here on Chalet? Are they capable of winning without showing too much? Because as we've already seen, the teams who qualify like to try and start keeping things under wraps because, of course, they want to give themselves the best opportunity they can in the playoffs. And that could be W7M. It could be an opportunity for Gaimin Gladiators.
Oh, I mean, that's... Sorry. I mean, for Tolji, that's a matter of awareness. Like, you haven't seen Volps even jump out the window there. He just ran up and punched it and had a wonderful angle onto a player sat there who looked like he was ready to get on drones. Rotero drones, no less, as well. That Flores was a big key to getting rid of things like shield. Sure, they've still got 4 frag grenades to play with and 3 flashes to burn through the ADSs and the magnets. But we know 3 ADSs and a lot of magnets are not going to be enough. Ape almost finding a man below and almost losing his life in response. It's an explosive start to the round, the one that W7M is still feeling in full control of.
Volks just giving the little jiggle peek onto the door there, but more importantly, W7M still in control of mezzanine and library stairs. KZ up there just looking to hold on behind that shield. He's got the ward and he's got all the gadgets. He's got the nitro and no! Ape managed to just take it out in the nick of time. I don't know if it was him or Joe who got the final shot onto the nitro, but they keep themselves fighting for at least a few more minutes.
Oh,
but
look at that!
KZ says no thank you, steps up, nice kill onto Ape, and that's W7M really taking control.
I really thought he'd get himself out of dodge there as well when he saw that red indicator, thought he could keep on walking past it, but no, just catches him on the back end, already chipped down. But I love the aggression. 3 frag grenades come in, you're getting flashed out. What do? Do you run down library stairs or do you press for kills? He goes for kills, and sure, he only finds the 1, but you burn through all the utility on the side of Gaimin Gladiators. They have got nothing left in back pocket. They've got impacts and they've definitely got guns. JV finding 1 as Joe gets another. It's 3v2.
That's unfortunately timed, but, well, it depends which side of the coin you're on. JV, beautifully timed trade. Joe getting that kill, bringing it to 3v3. Really looked like there could be an opportunity for Gaimin Gladiators, but now they're in a tough spot. They're 2 versus 3. They've yet to get themselves onto site, and W7M are just starting to bunker down here because they know that the job is largely done. With only 29 seconds left to go, this is going to be a tough task. We've got Rix opening up that hatch to just give another vertical angle, another option into sight. But as you can see from w7m, they've got one man, JV, just way away from sight, playing out in dining, looking for that flank. Volps it is actually who gets the kill onto Joe, and that is pretty much going to be the round unless Rix can do something really special. Here he goes for one, does not get two. JV shuts him down inside of sight, and that's going to be an opener for w7m. But it wasn't all the Brazilians' way.
It wasn't. I'll give it to Gaimin Gladiators. Not a bad first round. You know, the coalescing of the team around the top of library stairs to burn through the shield and try and get rid of the Warden player, all really good stuff. But it was like trying to contain an unleashed cat that's just dying for food, Timmy. They were charging around, they were busy around the map, they could do nothing to really pin them down. You felt like maybe you were getting some kind of semblance of control from Gaimin Gladiators, and then w7m would drop through a hatch. They'd spring up a stairway, they'd rotate and run straight towards grenades, for example. They're making it really hard for Gaimin Gladiators to get that semblance of control. So for Gaimin Gladiators, it's not as simple as saying just find your kills and therefore you'll get control as a result. No, this could be a pretty difficult game, especially knowing that attackers should do pretty well on Chalet.
w7m then move us into round number 2. It's going to be a top floor defense this time, Master and Office. So likely to be a little bit of attention out towards Library again. w7m won't try to hold on to that area quite as tightly, I wouldn't expect. They're going to be playing it more from that piano doorway. We can see they've got the deployable shield in position already. They're going to be looking to give themselves an opportunity to peek out there and just cause a little bit of a nuisance on the flank. KZ's an interesting one on Arune all the way downstairs at the minute. I'm not sure if he's applying laser gates or just trying to disappear off into the map, but it's something that Gaimin Gladiators need to be very careful of. They need to be making sure that they're droning him out, finding him. They should be able to shut him down. If you've got one player off in the map like that, solo, it shouldn't be too much of a problem to pinch and kill.
Easier said than done though, right, Tim? As we all know, it can be a real battle. We're seeing that castle being brought along by JV as well. I referenced this back at the start of the game. His army being banned away, when normally that's paired up with the castle, it can be so oppressive. So at least here, there's a little bit of that being taken away, but it was w7m's ban. I do want to touch back on yesterday as well, because w7m played this map against Wolves. They won 7-3. On the defensive side, they went 5-1, Tim. I don't think I've seen a team with a good defensive performance like that on Chalet in probably forever, actually, since the map came into the pool. So we'll keep an eye on how this half progresses, but w7m could be the team to buck the trend and say, you know what, we don't mind being the only team that can defend really well on Chalet if that's what it means. Joe already being pressured a little bit here inside the basement. And the thing is, Tim, this is up on the top floor of the site, yet KZ is trying to push down on the very basement itself to get rid of Joe, and might well find his man. Misses his shots, though, and Joe takes the freebie. That's the problem with that DMR. You've got to land those 2 shots in rapid succession, else you won't be finding your kill.
KZ got to be finding that one, really. Keeps himself off the radar, but just unsuccessful in getting the benefits from it. Volps, however, does manage to get the kill. He's roaming around on the Oryx. We've got Hoven down outside as well. This is not looking good for Gaimin Gladiators because w7m, they're just roaming around the map at will at this point. The fact that they haven't got the Oryx locked down, that's going to be a serious danger, because if now they'll look to push into Library at all, they don't know where Volps is going to appear. They're also struggling to get themselves any sort of headway through Solarium windows. Hoven's trying to work from the holes created by Joe underneath, but he's unlikely to find himself anything onto GDN, I don't think.
No, Herd's here as well to give a little bit of cover, so even when it feels like there's some pressure coming in, there's always a second man ready to assist. Almost like Gaimin Gladiators have realised again that it's super hard to pin down these hypermobile players at w7m. Great shot from Tolji, though, will break things open on the top side. JV, the last left alive with a UMP to his name against 3 players. 2 of them up on these windows, and they know exactly where he is.
Big problem now, he manages to get one. They can't let him get all 3.
Oh.
He has to turn his back there. Hoven with the final shots. He's got to go and reload, unfortunately, with the UMP. There was a timeline there where I saw the castle just keep shooting through all 3 of them. Something Gaimin Gladiators need to be careful of there. They were stacking up, they were lining up, they were giving him the opportunity to do that, but it doesn't matter. It's past. Gaimin Gladiator get the round. It's 1-1, and they pick up an important attack that's going to get them rolling here on Chalet, hopefully.
It looked really dicey for the longest time as well. The key play really was Tolji coming up the solar stairs and unseating Herds, who've been holding there for so long as well. You're in a spot there where they can't play in through the windows. They can't really play the windows at all out of fear of things like C4s or smoke canisters being lobbed at those windows. So with how things are setting up, really good play from Tolji that really broke things open.
There we go, we've got a playoff probability down at the bottom. W7M 100% because they are already confirmed. But as you can see, the numbers looking pretty slim for Gaimin Gladiators. They are going to be down to no chance should they not win this one. We're just going to nip out for a quick technical pause, a little rehost here as we obviously have a little bit of an issue. But yeah, so Gaimin Gladiators, as I said at the beginning, they have to take a win out of this game realistically if they want any chance of going through. And even then, they are heavily reliant on other things going their way as well.
It's like you say, if they want any chance of it, it is now that you've got to start getting the big rounds on the board. They've already found the one-on-one, and I'll give them that's already probably better than, well, it at least matches what Wolves achieved yesterday in terms of finding their one round. And although I haven't had a lot of chance to watch Gaimin Gladiators, I've been casting other games. There's always tons of seeds to try and watch you, and you can't watch 16 games a day when we're only casting 4. But from what I've seen of them, the actual aggression they can show and the quality of the team is really good. And I remember speaking to a bunch of people from the APAC region before we came here, and they were saying, you know, no one really expects them to be the team that made it here. It felt a little bit strange. Like, Elevate, sure, fantastic, very consistent. But Gaimin had less hype about them. At least from what I've seen here, you know, they can step up and tango with the best. Maybe not get the result, but we are seeing good performances out of them still.
Well, the Gaimin Gladiators, they're going to be hoping to come in to round 3 with a second attacking win, I'm sure. The thing is, we're on Chalet. It is the attack. Gaimin Gladiators, I mean, I'm going to say, Des, to be generous based on the performances we've seen out of W7M so far. I am taking that into account here. Gaimin Gladiators need at least a 3-3-1/2. And normally I would say 4-2 there, but I'm factoring in that they're against one of the best teams that we've seen so far in the tournament in W7M. So they have to be getting at least another couple of rounds. If they can get one here in round number 3, we're going to be loading back in any second. If we can get one here in round 3, that's at least going to be a big step forward for them because they then, A, get themselves in the lead, and B, they've done half of the work that, you know, ideally they're going to want to do here on the attack. But it's not going to be easy. We've seen that W7M, they bring in a bit of aggression. They're happy to get mobile around the map. We saw Volps. We saw KZ last time just getting out there and making life difficult. If KZ gets that opening kill onto Joe, that round is very different potentially for W7M then.
It was nice because Volts did go down for the immediate trade, which he did fine, but having those 2 players left to help control w7m Trophy could have been real different. And I think them playing around that spot was, you know, well set up. They wanted to really stop them on the solar side, and Gaimin Gladiators played into their hands like anything, just all attacking from the same direction up towards that top side of the map. But those few kills that went against them in the mid-round, really what saw it go in W7M's way. Here we go, though, into kitchen and dining. You're going to see a big setup on the top floor here. Reason being, and you'll see this across most sites in Siege, if you are playing on the first floor and the site is up on the second, especially when there is soft flooring, attackers want to get control of that. Smash a bunch of holes through, stop the defenders moving around on site. You can play for a good cover on the plant itself when it's already down, which is why you're seeing reinforcements, castle barricades, ADSs, shields, everything going up here on the second floor. The actual site itself might be quite light, and now really, Gaimin Gladiators have 2 choices. They can go in lobby and open up the main wall, or they can try and fight into this top floor and hopefully dodge their way around those on the top. The more likelihood that you're going to see is them starting out on the top floor, clearing out office, then opening the main wall on the ground floor and planting just inside there behind the cover of things like smokes or utility or even just holding the angles with guns.
Ape racing in behind 3 drones there that were ahead of him, just giving him all the information that he needs to safely enter. Volps is going to try to take out the Rotero. Fortunately, that Rotero is actually not going to take out any utility. What it does is it moves Volps along. The sledge comes in, takes out the castle barricade as well. So now Volps has been forced back behind that shield. It may give the second Rotero drone an opportunity to clear that out, exactly where it's going. Will find its mark, will clear the shield. So you can see here, Gaimin Gladiators are doing good work there. They're just inching their way forward. They send in the Rotero, they clear out a bit of utility, they take that ground. They send in another Rotero, clear out the next piece, they take that ground. And this is what they need to do, just shuffle themselves forward and just, you know, push and move until they've got W7M completely cleared out. It's now just up to Herds up there on the top floor, so they're doing a good job so far.
I think the actual pace from Gaimin has been excellent too.
Yep.
60 seconds in the round, you've got 3 drones racing
What's
around
Volps
Piano.
doing?
overwhelming Volps a little bit. You've got Roteros raining on through removing shields. I've seen teams in Europe take 2 minutes to get to the point of clearing out the top floor, yet it feels like Gaimin have done so just that little bit quicker. As you say, there's one man left, and they haven't droned him out there, sadly, even with 5 still left on the board. Ape was running ahead. KZ goes down elsewhere, and Hertz finds his second of the round. He is the demon of the top floor. He's held down 2 before finally he gets put on his backside.
Hertz has done a great job up there, but the bigger problem right now is Volps. I picked him up 30 seconds ago, and he was moving up on the flank. KZ as well. Gaimin Gladiators have focused so much on that top floor push. They haven't thought about the basement or the flank. They had a drone there, but it hasn't been enough to prevent Volps coming in and getting that kill. KZ's looking for a bit of action from downstairs as well. If he can get himself onto the staircases, he can join this. But now, in a 3v2, they've got a situation where Gaimin Gladiators, although they've got the top floor control, have got a big difficulty when it comes to getting into sight. They might just not have the manpower to do this against 3, to get somebody in there with the diffuser, have a chance of putting it down, and be able to cover them. There we go. That's the important kill from JV coming out. If he detonates that Nitro, job done. And that is pretty much the round for w7m. Just waiting for that final kill. Rix pushes in. He's going to have to try this 1v3. He might just be able to do it. He knows there's a man behind the table, but no, GDN manages to find that final kill. w7m locking it out. And for me, just nicely identifying the hole in that attack from Gaimin Gladiators, which was that rear side.
I really want to see a Nomad get brought along this round now. We've had 3 rounds go through, and I really feel Gaimin are relying on Claymores, where they've only really bring in 1 or 2 in the back pocket of the Zofia. They've been stung round after round by this movement coming out from w7m. I say round after round, it's only been 2 that they've won. But a lot of it has been based on the freedom of movement that has been allowed to w7m. So I think something like either more Claymores, a Gridlock, a Nomad, whatever it might be, you've shown that you can't rely solely on drones, so now might be a time to say, okay then, what can we afford to drop away from here? What don't we absolutely need? What can we make work that gives us a Nomad on side to better control those would-be roamers?
Going to be down to the basement then for round number 4, and this is going to be the biggest test yet for Gaimin Gladiators in terms of that roam game, Des. I would expect to see w7m heavily invest in the rest of the map here. They're, doing the normal reinforcements down on basement. They're getting the rear side, they're getting trench wall. They're going to be looking to hold Gaimin Gladiators out of that area, but in order to do so, they're likely to try and stretch them by playing out and around the map. Gaimin Gladiators need to quickly identify where those roamers are, and they need to move in and kill them clinically, so they've got enough time to deal with sight.
Hit Electronics from above as well. Does mean you have to have some kind of presence inside a lobby. I think the magnet wasn't a bad idea, having it being able to catch any nades coming in from the lobby front door, but the problem with that position is if they are playing a Kaid here, for example, that magnet catches a grenade, destroys all your utility, and I kind of feel like they've read that there where the argument might have been from hers. No, I do want to get a magnet up there. Can you put the Kaid electrical on the downstairs? There's no shock drones, for example, so we are relatively okay in just going for a normal Kaid electrical here.
Volps up on the top floor, as suggested. w7m having that presence. KZ and Volps, the duo that are always out there making a nuisance of themselves. Right now, it's going to be up to Tolji and Hoven to try and deal with that. They've got the Jackal, they've got the track coming in, so that's important. That's going to make their life a little bit easier, and it might just force these players back. But if I know these w7m players, I don't think they're going anywhere. There's Volps with a beautiful shot onto Hoven through the soft wall there as he tries to put the breach in charge on, and that leaves Tolji all alone. RP looks like he might be coming to join and bolster this roam clearance, but if they don't get the kills onto those 2 players, they are not going to win this round.
And this is the thing is, the droning we've really commended a couple of times now for Gaimin Gladiators. They've had 2 or 3 always leading inside 60 seconds. They're in the building and good to go. But from there, the droning has fell off. They kind of feel, okay, we're in the building now, we're in a good position, great, let's get moving. Whereas really what you want then is 2 or 3 players to stay on those drones, let the entries clear out that entire top floor for you, and then worry about the ground floor. Because all that's happened there is Hogan has wrongly assumed that actually that top floor is clear, probably either on a non-call from the rest of the team that it is clear and he's just assumed, and has therefore paid with it with his life. Those are the small sort of errors and mistakes that teams like w7m will pick you up on and will punish you for.
Interestingly now, Gaimin Gladiators is being pushed to go into blue corridor here, but JDN is watching that on the tight angle with a shotgun. They're going to get the trick onto the main breach. That will not be open now, and Gaimin Gladiators, they're coming up against a serious roadblock here. They still haven't dealt with KZ up on the top floor. They just really haven't made any progress. Nade goes in. Will it clear off the claw? Yes, it will. There's going to be an opportunity for that main breach to be open.
Oh, beautiful.
Not today, as Herds has the second impact, manages to take the exothermic off, and with 30 seconds left to go, they're left with gaining blue corridor. That's about it for Gaimin Gladiators right now.
So you've got your Ace doing roam clear on the top floor, and the Thermite being Kite electric Clawed, getting electric claw tricked and then impacted off. It was beautiful stuff by w7m, who keep that wall closed. But now Gaimin Gladiators forcing their way down the main stairs. All three players in one direction. Herds to one side, Volts to another, and Herds is going to play this one and wait it out. No, he's not. Tolji finds one. Herds, can he find the third? No, he can't. Joe finds round 4 for the Gladiators.
Gaimin Gladiators, I'll be honest, very little right to win that round, as it all came down to 3 players down the main stairs, and even then the diffuser was put on the ground. w7m, I won't say gifting them one there. Gaimin Gladiators won an important and a good couple of gunfights from those main stairs that allowed them to continue that push, but they need to... They need to realise that was a last gasp effort. They failed in the roam clearance. They failed in the blue stairs push. They didn't get anything open at the rear site. They didn't get the main breach open. In 99 out of 100 rounds, I would go as far as saying they would normally have lost that.
I agree, and this is what I've said this probably ever since I first started casting Siege. One of the beauties of this game is there's 2 halves to it. There's 2 sides of the coin. There's the strategy side, and there is the gun side. The FPS side, the reason many of us play this game. Now, the real beauty in it, I thought, was that w7m them had GG's number where it came to the strategy side. Well, really, it was more GG making errors, to be fair. The Gladiators missed drone top floor. They didn't get the wall opened up there. They didn't commit a couple of nades to ensure there was no trick electro core being placed on the wall itself. w7m did everything right, but the Gladiators then sent 3 down main and picked up the gunfights they needed to get the round over the finish line, even without understanding where those 2 players were. You saw Herds get a freebie onto the man who was going in for the plant, and it was like, okay, this one should be done and dusted. But that's the beauty of the game. You can play it absolutely perfectly when it comes to strategy and still lose on the gun side of things, and that is what makes the game so thrilling to watch.
It's what gives it its variety. You know,
I agree.
It has the gunplay, it has the gunfights that every FPS has, but then it has these other elements of the strategy and the lines of sight, the destructibility, you know, everything that comes along with it, and that is why we love Siege. So, Gaimin Gladiators right now trying to pressure their way into Library. It is a Barton Gaming attack this time. We saw them undertake this attack back in round 1. w7m was successful on the defence. To be honest, Gaimin Gladiators didn't really get anywhere near. They weren't able to clear out the top of Library stairs. They lost players early in the round, and it really came down to a 2 versus 3 push at the end where they had to be dropping down into sight and just hoping to find pickups. And right now JV's looking for a pickup himself. He knows that the Maverick is there. The opportunity comes, but he can't quite find the shot.
He's been droned through the drone hole. Yep, well pointed out. I'm not sure who's actually doing our observe in this game. Easy or Medics or Red Light, actually. I don't think it's Medics for this one. Of course it is. Dream Team. Ape now going to come for the swing out as JV to find the kill and get out of dodge with just about 5 HP to his name. So again, nice and close to death, but still a kill on the opening onto the members of Gaimin Gladiators.
4-1 on the entry for w7m here, and that just plays right into the hands of the style that they're playing here, that mobile, loose, aggressive style, getting up to the windows, getting up to the points of entry. It reminds me of sort of, I'll call it classic Doki. If you remember, back in the day, he'd hear a barricade break, and it's not his role really for G2 now. He doesn't play in quite the same way. G2 don't play that way, but he'd hear a barricade break, and he'd just be sprinting full force at it. How quickly can I get there for the challenge? And that's what w7m feel like at the minute. You know, everywhere that Gaimin Gladiators come into this map, they're being immediately challenged. Volps and KZ are absolutely decimating them at the minute.
It's a really good read there onto the push as well. He kills Tolji before the grenade can be let go, so the box stays safe, enabling his rest of his team to step forwards, and it's a flawless round for w7m. Much more composed there, and the first time that I felt w7m looks a lot more confident playing with the bottleneck as well, because 3 rounds now, I'd wager, we've seen the Gladiators push into a bottleneck, whether that's through their own fault of leaving a wall closed up, or I don't want to say being pig-headed, but trying to force their way through a spot that w7m are very clearly defending incredibly hard. Either way you look at it, w7m, that's the first time I feel they've done well holding onto a bottleneck. They now go into their last defensive round, again reminding you that against Wolves yesterday, it was a 5-1 defensive half for w7m. They can't quite match that today, but a 4-2 would go a long way towards saying and showing just how good they are at defending this map. And truthfully, I think a lot of that is because, Tim, they play it far more mobile than any other team I've seen do.
Well, it's interesting because for the longest time, it's only really sort of recently, in the last month or two, that we've seen, and I'm going to use Winestock and Snowmobile as an example here, but we saw for the longest time teams try to hold on to that site. I might, along the way, have had a little bit of frustration about trying to hold on to it with the hatch shut, Des. You know, there was a big question about the hatch open, the hatch closed, and teams, when the hatch was closed, thank you very much, medics. I know this is not the site that we're playing on here, but the example rings true because of what we're seeing on Chalet. About a month ago, 6 weeks ago, we started seeing teams say, actually, that hatch, it's too critical in a way. We put in everything. We're putting all our eggs in the hatch basket and trying to keep hold of dining and try and keep ourselves safe from there. So what a few teams started doing, G2 being one of the first, and I think the LATAM teams as well, was getting themselves out into the map instead, actually opening up some of those rear walls downstairs, but sending 2 players up to the top floor just to try and waste as much time. And since that has happened, we've just seemed to have, for me, seen the mobility increase here on Chalet, Master and Office that we're seeing defended now. We're going to see players off in the map, you know, looking to challenge from downstairs, down in the basement, looking to get around, looking to challenge across all 3 floors. And that just seems to be played perfectly into the style of W7M.
Ironically, this time around, they are ever so slightly more static. You might have 1 or 2 players being downstairs. In fact, I think there is 1 inside Snowmobile right now, but the other 4 are all playing around site itself. You're really looking in for that flank to come through, but as these drones keep on getting picked away, and there he is, KZ downstairs, rotating himself around, just looking to be the backstab that his team sorely need as we get towards the last 60 seconds or so. For now, at least, the other 4 members holding Gaimin Gladiators back, with pretty much every single player looking to push in on the South Mez side.
They can get the breach open here. They've got the exothermic charge in place. No mute jammer to hold it off, so it's just a question of when. Rix is going to pull the button there, so that is access into a plant spot. This isn't too bad from Gaimin Gladiators. They just need to be cautious of those flanks that they've been hit on previously, but W7M, you know, coming into this round, we spoke about their mobility and how they've been able to hassle Gaimin Gladiators all around the map, not really bringing that to the table this time. KZ is the one to watch underneath, though. He's got Nitro in hand with the Mozzie. Herds is going to find Tolji, but the diffuser does go down, and I'm not sure that W7M were aware that that was happening, Des.
Not 100% either. A lot of chaos going on now. Casey's got to go, crap, I've got to make something happen here. Here he comes on the backstab, but there's Joe holding close, and he's not even looking at him. Great kill from Joe, and this could be another round for Gaimin Gladiators here. That 3-3 split that you were asking for, Tim, could be on the way. Volt's going to start the disable here, but has he got the cover? There is a man coming up through main, but can they find the kill? Yes, they can. Down to a 2v2. 1 inside the piano's got to go down, but Ape finds both. Gaimin Gladiators get the 3-3 split. Game on.
It was the minimum for what they needed, and they have achieved it, so that is at least a reasonable start for Gaimin Gladiators. They're going to find themselves under a lot of pressure here on the attack, though, I've got the feeling. W7M, by converse, I would expect them to come in and actually deal with roamers really well. That's something at home for you to watch. You know, keep an eye on that. It's going to be an important part of this game. So, Gaimin Gladiators have got 2 choices here. They either turtle up on site and hope that they can hold off W7M for 3 minutes, which is going to be difficult with the level of mechanical skill that we're seeing coming out of W7M. They're likely to get picks as the round goes along. They're going to be very good at forcing you to move inside of the site. Alternatively, Gaimin Gladiators can basically try to out W7M. They can get players mobile, get them out in the map, and try to pick up a couple of kills. That could be, if they choose to go that method, a critical battle to keep an eye on, because W7M, they're going to be in behind the drones. They're going to be finding those roamers. If they can go in there, pinch them, kill them better than Gaimin Gladiators were able to do, it could be decisive in this game.
Makes me feel a bit nervous now for Gaimin, knowing that we're onto the attacking side of W7M. This team have been terrifying to watch. Watching back some of their games from the Copa Elite 6, just seeing the aggression with which they play, the pace at which they move, and as a team, most importantly, has been unlike anything I've seen. I watched back the Bank game, I think it was against FaZe, and I was just like, whoa, these boys are quick. Now, at least, ironically, to start with, things aren't super, aligned right now. They are a little bit split around the map, but once the boys get rolling, there is no slowing down the W7M train. Ape already learning that lesson.
It's left the station, Des. Ape has just been run over on the tracks as W7M start to steamroll their way towards a potential victory. It is a great start for them. Oh, you need to be careful, and that just shows the risk sometimes with the laser gates. You've got to remember all these gadgets, as much as they do help the defenders, they can be a little bit of a headache as well. The laser gates particularly telling an attacker when a defender is going to peek around a doorway or barricade, because it will drop, and they nearly lost a life to it. There we go. That's the stairs dealt with there. Herd's managing to dump a grenade into Joe, but there was a whole hail of utility coming his way. So that's going to be 5 versus 3. Tolji being taking heavy damage now as he rotates. There's been too much freedom playing around that piano window. They've been unaware of Volps' position there, and he's going to hold this down for the majority of the round and just prevent them being able to use that area.
The nade play into solo is beautiful as well. One came in from trophy. Whoa, good night. But one came in from below off trophy window that stopped the man rotating down the stairs, whilst the grenade was also dunked into the top side that he couldn't move through, else he was being cut by the player on the window. So a great bit of team play again on the timing from w7m. Volps, as you say, has been sat at this window now for, well, really since the start of the round. But KZ's on the march through. Finds Hoven looking for the second. But Volps, again, the threat that he's putting in is just stopping this Jaeger from being able to move around. And Tolji gets brought down by KZ. Herd's finally dropped, but it's a 1v3. KZ makes it a 3k in the round. A comfortable closeout for w7m.
I love that from w7m. Basically, with Volps and with other, it's not just down to Volps. You know, there was somebody on the double window rappel, somebody on Solarium rappel. But what they've done is they've used those windows to just carve up site into 4 pieces, and anybody who tried to rotate around was killed. We saw that, or took heavy damage from Volps, and then KZ just goes in and picks them off one at a time, because it's easy, because he knows where they are, because guess what? They can't move, because if they'd moved, Volps would have killed him, or your man on Solarium would have killed him, or your man on double window would have killed him. So it just makes it easy for KZ to know, yep, there's somebody in this area, there's somebody in this area, and there's somebody in that area. And that's why he's just walked through and got himself a 3k. Easy as that, and well played from w7m.
Alrighty, let's see how the next round goes. Dining and kitchen as a defense. It's going to be once again a very similar hold upon this top floor. We spoke about it earlier on. When you're defending kitchen and dining, you need to be holding the ground above it, because everything is soft and you give the attackers far too much freedom to restrict your movement, force you off site if you concede the top floor. So Gaimin Gladiators up here now, looking to get a full setup on the go. Castle barricades, shields, bulletproof cameras, banshees, magnets, you name it. They're really coming armed to the teeth to hold down this top floor. So for w7m, the question will come, what are you going to do about it? And one thing I want to give a nod towards Tim, Herds on the Nomad. I was calling for Gaimin Gladiators to play that the entirety of the first half. We saw Tolji getting a little bit, I don't want to say roam heavy, but he was trying to get out around the map and cause some bother. Things like that Nomad will just give you more security.
Quarter given from them whatsoever. 5 versus 5 still, as Gaimin Gladiators do manage to escape, though Tolji keeps his life. RP very lucky to keep his, as Herds is just ready. And this is the thing for w7m, Des. They just seem to always be ready for the fight. JV going to send in the first of those Dokkaebi calls. RP position will be given away. I think they're already pretty aware of that. They're not going to be looking to rush in and try and take this kill. Herds is playing it pretty cautiously. JV's the one at the minute working from underneath. KZ is working from above, so they've got that duo pushing across, just trying to force Gaimin Gladiators back onto the dining kitchen side of the map to begin with, and once they've got them there, then they will work in and try and get those kills on the top floor, I'd imagine.
Well, at least for now, by the looks of it, KZ wants to try and get underneath with the nade over the top, start softening up the site itself already. Like trying to remove players here from below. Yeah, if the bouncer come through and connects onto John half wall, Beautiful. At least gets a little bit of chip down, but nowhere enough to actually finish the player off. And I think he doesn't want to try that one a second time, but I like the creativity being shown.
That would have been absolutely disgusting. Vertical nades, you know, they take a skill in themselves, but to shoot out the top of a wall to get the angle into the floor that you want would have been absolute madness. KZ back on that top floor clearance once again. Going to get the first onto Joe. Can't get the second onto RP, though, who manages to get the kill, and Herds was just a little bit late on the cover there. Does manage to get the trade, so it's not all lost. It's not the end of the world for w7m. That gets them to the top floor. As I said, force everybody back to site and then get the top floor, but they don't know about Tolje, who pops out and gives them a surprise. But again, the trade is there immediately, Des.
All from Herds as well, who came into bathroom, found one on south, moved towards the north and found another, and just found a third in the round. So it feels like even when Gaimin Gladiators feel great, we've got a kill, Herds is there to find the response. Plant going down in the 1 versus 3 inside a kitchen. He's got 2 players to get through to even try and deny this away from GDN. This looks to be another w7m round, and they are looking ferocious on this attack.
Corbin doing everything he can here. He's dancing the dance, but it's unlikely that he's going to be showing us his best moves as he tries to get the kill. Not happening. Volt steps out with the F2, cuts him down, and that's going to be the end of the retake attempt from Gaimin Gladiators. 5-3 now for w7m. And as expected, when they've got themselves onto the attack, they're just taking it up a gear.
And this is what they were so good at playing in the Cobra Elite 6 as well, is the pace at which they move, but as a team is arguably the most important part of it. You can see lots of teams that play hyper-aggressive and move fast, and we call them hero play teams, right? Dare I say, GT remind me of that sometimes as well. I actually think in their game yesterday they were very team-aligned, so maybe less so recently, but in the stage, it's about the individual aggression, it's about the pace they can bring as individuals. But look in that round there for w7m. They lost 2 players, and when both of them went down, Herds was there half a second later to get the trade whilst the player that had got the kill was reloading or repositioning. Just small bits of team play like that is what guarantees you basically a free kill in response. So every time it felt like Gaimin Gladiators got anything in that round, w7m were getting exactly the same back in response and then finding even more with the next play they made.
w7m have just looked clinical, to be honest. You know, you could mention any part of the game for me, and I'm going to give w7m a tick. The one thing that they haven't really shown us too much of, and this isn't a criticism, it's just that there hasn't really been a requirement, they haven't shown us too much vertical play. We saw a little bit of an attempt from KZ there to get the nade underneath, and I'm not just talking about vertical nades, I'm talking about, you know, getting up, opening floors up with the sledge, with the book, using those vertical angles. They just haven't really had a need to. Do I think they can do it? Do I think they could bring that to their game? Absolutely, the way we're looking at them at the minute. But everything else, you know, roam clear. Map control. I don't think we're going to make him play it a 1v4 there.
Very good. Back into it in just a moment then, so we can get things back underway. But I think with how it's our PC that kind of shut down there, which is unfortunate. But we'll get it sorted out again in just a moment, as said. For Gaimin Gladiators here, I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done, Tim, because I know we've only seen a couple of rounds here from w7m on the attack, but I can see why many were hyping them up so much coming into the competition. I thought maybe it was w7m against Astralis for our grand final. I'm still hedging all my bets on w7m maybe being one of the teams there, because although we haven't cast every single team, from what I've seen from them, at least in this game, and I know it's against one of the weaker opponents here, but the Forza record backs it up, they have been the most convincing team I think that I've seen throughout groups.
Yes, I would agree with that. My next question mark, my next asterisk against w7m, and I'm not being the naysayer of w7m throughout. What I want to see each time, and the reason that I ask these questions is because I want to see how good this team are, because I don't want to get carried away, but I think talent-wise, ability-wise, this could be one of the best teams that we've seen in a long time. You know, there's growth that needs to be done along the way, obviously. My next question mark for them is the best of threes. It is a step up. It is a difference in front of a crowd. Everything else.
Cobra Elite 6, though.
Cobra Elite 6, they did okay. They didn't win it. It was FaZe that came through and got the win. So I'm not saying that, you know, best of threes, they're just going to lose in the quarters. What I'm saying is they've shown that they're beatable there. I talk about growth required for them, and obviously best of threes is part of that. So my question there is, you know, have they gone away from that Corporate Elite 6 loss to FaZe, and have they learnt from it? Have they developed from that? And, you know, yeah, of course, anybody can lose against FaZe. That's absolutely fine, just like anybody can probably lose against this W7M side. But the next one for me, if they are striving for greatness, is show us you can do it best of threes over the weekend.
I think I agree with you to some level. And of course, you had to try and one-up me, didn't you? I was saying, oh, you know, they could win the whole thing. And then you come in and say, they could be one of the best teams we've seen in recent history.
In a reasonable amount of time. I've not been this excited. Honestly.
Tim, you came in saying DAMWON Kia were going to win it all.
Well, that's a different matter. That's heart. This is head speaking.
This is all brain.
This is brain speaking now. This is the first time I've cast this W7M side. Of course, it's absolutely not the first time I've watched them. I've watched plenty of them. But just casting them now and experiencing in real time the thought process and their ability to carve a map up and make it difficult for players to even move around it. Like I say, I'm not getting carried away yet. I'm not saying that they are the best team. You know, I'm saying that there is a real opportunity for this team here. If they stick together, keep the work, keep the growth, they could genuinely be one of the best teams that we've seen in the recent past.
Well, look at the last 6 months, right? I know Charlotte, they couldn't make it due to visa issues, but they were topping it in Stage 1. Many had questions, can they do the same in Stage 2? Yes was the answer. Sure, they fell just short in Copper Elite 6 and finished in second, but for how long has it been since we've seen a team that finishes first in literally everything they play in, right? It just doesn't happen. But we'll see how things go, because they might yet find themselves with a very interesting opponent coming into playoffs. We'll find out what that team will be, I'd imagine, towards the end of the day, when we understand what those 4 quarterfinals will be on Friday. And we'll also have our live crowd here in Berlin as well for the playoffs. Can't wait for that to all kick off and see everyone coming together for some European siege. Well, European-based siege rather than European siege. There's not.
Oh, it's international siege.
It's international siege in Europe, so European international.
I'll tell you what, I think Europe are going to have a few more teams than expected in those playoffs, though.
What do you mean? Europe?
Yeah. I think a lot of people, before, you know, things kicked off, in honesty, I think people were expecting Europe to maybe have 1 team in there at the best.
Well, Lycan, if you're listening, predicted us to have 9. He thought 4
exactly. This is what I mean. You know, we could be having a real switcheroo going on here.
Look at the timeline. Look, that's
much better.
This is a great example of what Gaimin Gladiators did wrong, right?
Yep.
They had the exothermic on there, ready to go off, and then they brought. Oh my God, Brix's HP. That's literally 1 HP. Yeah, a little bit. Look at the pace they're going with, Tim. Shield's already down. We're 45 seconds in the round, and they're going in for a plant. I think there's still 2 impacts in the back pocket of Ape. Not being thrown out here. Can they stop it? Yes, they can. A spray in through the smoke will find the kill, and quite possibly Gaimin Gladiators have held on.
Beautiful aggression coming in from Gaimin Gladiators there. They knew something drastic was needed, and they were able to deliver. JV gets an important kill onto Joe, clearing him out from behind the shield and giving an opportunity to potentially go in and collect that diffuser, but there's going to be another kill needs to come first, and it's going to be that man there. Herds gets in from behind, gets the kill onto Hoven, and that gives an opportunity now to get in and get that diffuser recovered, which JV does. Is he going to take the chance to put it down? That's the question. There could be a little bit of space. Yes, relocates. This is beautiful. This is a masterclass from W7M.
But you've got to be careful now. Herds is watching the wrong spot. Right, watches the right door. 1 more coming through. Told you can't quite find the man. And Herds wins it out. Of course he does. Wow, it's crazy. When can you see a team completely mess up an assault, change over to the other side, and still stick the plan? Beautiful from W7M.
I'm going to ask W7M for the next set of winning lottery numbers because they've got the answer to everything right now, Des. They've got the answer to everything. Absolutely beautiful from W7M. I like the initial attempt. You know, let's not worry about the roam clear. Let's not worry about the rear-sided push. There's something that I really, really like about that round. So they've gone in for the initial rush. They've thrown everything at that main door. Almost everything. But they've got an insurance policy, Des. And that insurance policy is Herds coming in from that rear side. Because guess what? Gaimin Gladiators at that point had completely switched off from that trench door, from that entire area. And Herds comes in with a super important kill. It was the one that I picked up. I was just about to say JV needs to kill the man to his left on main stairs before he can do anything here. And Herds beats him to the punch. And then the relocate. They know that there's somebody up above. They know that they can't do anything about a wine side plant. Just fantastic play from W7M. Love to see
It's
it.
interesting because G2 on this map yesterday did something very similar when you had Doki. In fact, it was day one. When Doki was dropping in through the connector hatch, you had Alim out on the DKB, same as Herds, come pushing in from trench side and get a couple of kills on the way through. So a very similar style, bit of team play that we've seen coming out from both teams there. But for me, again, that change between planting at the far south side of one site, rotating through off a bit of a distraction from the last DKB call that was still in back pocket, just really smart, intelligent play. And I know we keep on bigging them up. It's for fair reason. They're about 5-0 in their group.
They're very good. That's why we're bigging them up, because they're very good.
Alrighty. Told you here on the downstairs is about to get hit by 2 drones, and now they know exactly where he is and what's going on. Run, Forrest, run, because they're spraying through every softball you can imagine, looking to try and take his life. He gets a couple of drones. W7 overall are down 5 drones, and Tolji does manage to make it away.
Does scurry away with his life, and needed to, effectively. They really couldn't be losing somebody down there. As I've said, W7M have absolutely dominated the entry game so far today, and the last thing they need is that continuing. KZ's going to clear out the barbed wire on blue stairs, so as the Iana, he could look to make a push up there. I think at the minute it's more about having the threat of that utility being gone, but here we go. Instead, it's going to be a little push towards main stairs. They're looking to open up the connector wall with the Maverick, basically. They'll get that done. There we go. They're looking to see if they can get the kill immediately through, but Gaimin Gladiators are alert to that danger, and they've moved the man out of there. Hoven's not going to get any joy. They're not going to expose themselves to the top there. Herds does manage to find Tolji, shut down the Roma, and already it's advantage W7M, and inside the first half of the round, they've done a lot of work.
They have. Joe finds one back at least onto Herds, who has been an absolute killer the last couple of rounds as well, even 4 across the last 2, which is pretty unbelievable when you look at it that way. Halfway steps out and finds the second. This time it's Volts who's going down. Another player who's really shone throughout the game itself. And that's the last phone call that's going to ring out in this round with the DKB being down. Rick's down to a slither of HP. Still a 4v3.
Rick's just missing his shots there on the double window. Was an opportunity, but it was a very 50-50 gunfight. Not the end of the world. JV is looking to get aggressive. Hoven's going to take the challenge on into Library. And this is looking pretty good for Gaimin Gladiators right now. W7M have been restricted to 2 men inside a Library. Everything else that they've tried has been shut down. Hoven, smart move over the balcony, gets himself out of dodge there and will live to fight another day. JV just very cautious of the fact that there could be a blue stairs rotation. If you have a look at the drone counter, they've only got 2 left here, W7M does, so in a position where it could be a real sort of blind spot going into sight. Not really much of an idea what's going on, just having to face check everything.
Hoven's just holding here, waiting for this push to come down the library stairs, possibly. Joe being flashed out, and Hoven strikes. JV not quite aware of the man that was at the back end of 90. And now GDN left in a 1 versus 4, 15 seconds to go, doesn't even get the chance to step down. Gaimin Gladiators hold on for at least 1 more round, and potentially, Tim, start pulling us towards that overtime point. But the issue is for them, I think at the point where W7M are now sat at 7, Gaimin Gladiators are done. They had to have an overtime win or a regulation win. Of course, now they can get neither. And in fact, that's a lie, so they can still get 1. They're not out yet.
They're not quite out yet.
But it's looking all but guaranteed.
Yeah, even with the 2 points, you start looking at tiebreaker situations. It's mental. Yeah, basically, I think we can say at this point that
MNM tweeted it earlier as one of the players. They said, oh, you know, it's if you get into a point where you're relying on other teams' results for you to get through, you probably don't deserve it.
No. Gaimin Gladiators will continue fighting, I'm certain. 2 more rounds they're going to be looking for. They are in round number 11 here, 4-6, and they keep clinging on, but you just feel at this point, Des, like... For me, this is a 1-horse race. This is just, it's not a matter of whether W7M win this, it's a matter of when. If you remember, the last attack onto this top floor, Gaimin Gladiators weren't even close to holding onto it. W7M had a beautiful attack onto this top floor. I think we're probably going to see similar. I'd be surprised if we don't have Volps on the piano window, somebody on the Solarium rappel, and they will just dice the site up again and send KZ in to get them kills.
Just like attacking 101, isn't it, really? They'll be doing the same thing as before. Why change up what you've done previously when it already worked so well the first time? JV once again on that Nomad here. Probably looking to get up on the window. I'm actually looking towards who has got breaching charges. Nobody does. And there's no Zofia either. So, probably want KZ to be the one that gets up on the window here because they'll need that Gun 6 to blast through the singular castle barricade that actually sits, I believe it is, on the single doorway upstairs. On the march through we go here, West Main being droned out first and foremost. Maybe some vertical play coming in, Tim. So that you said, you know, we've seen a bit of vertical nades, but not really vertical play. Here you might see a little bit coming in from below.
Gonna spot Tolji underneath there, and he sort of struggled last time. After being spotted out, he did manage to escape, but it was only 30 seconds to a minute later that he lost his life. Urge just blasted. And that's something else that I've seen throughout this game. A couple of times there's from w7m that they do fantastically well. They see somebody and they keep fighting with them in potential locations. They'll blast through the soft wall where they predict that they may be going to run to. And they've had a couple of kills by doing it as well. Their ability to continue those fights, to have that focus, to keep going with them, rather than just, you know, right, he's moved away and it's not there for me, you know, and dip out of the fight is fantastic. v0lps, he's going to have to be chased away there. He's taken a lot of damage on the Twitch, and he's going to be looking to go down there as JV and Herds get taken out. v0lps now on low health. Not looking good here. 4 versus 3 for Gaimin Gladiators. They might just hold on for another one.
Casey at the very least finds a trade with that nade after his teammate went down, so half a second later maybe, and that man doesn't go down. Instead we're in a 4 versus 4. But yep, it's looking a little bit dicey here with v0lps also down on about 5 HP. It's one of them ones that you're thinking, can Gaimin drag it back in towards overtime? It doesn't really have any effect on the group itself, as we've said. w7m already qualified. Gaimin, I think in overtime it's not really going to be enough to give them a solid chance at being able to fight their way back in. But it does them to show that gods can bleed if they can get anything from this round. Well,
that's the thing. It's sending a message, isn't it, at this point, potentially, that w7m are beatable. But you just do have the feeling that there's maybe something that they can find yet. They're the sort of team that makes you believe that it's always possible. KZ's going to be looking to go in and get those kills. Not it's going to happen though, as Ape shuts him down. Hove and Joe get in on the action, and that is now 5-6 as we're going all the way to 12 in what is looking like a surprising turnaround from Gaimin Gladiators here. Really starting to step up, and I'm surprised that w7m, I said coming into that I expected to see a similar attack. It wasn't at all. They tried to mix it up. Maybe they're just looking at, you know, towards the playoffs and let's try these different attacks against good opposition. You know, let's see how they work. But I would have gone for the rinse and repeat myself. You know, it worked fantastically well, and I think may have got the job done, but we're all talking about ifs and buts at that point. Round number 12, it's going to be the defense of Dining and Kitchen. w7m were able to win the attack here in the last attempt as well. So will this be the one that they can close it out 7-5?
It's a bit I touched on in the round as well. There wasn't really any breach charges or Zofia, for example, to help move away the castle barricades. And I won't be surprised if v0lps, when he got up on the rappel, for example, on the double window, saw the castle barricade like, oh, guys, there's a double barricade here. That's kind of one of the things that I'm surprised w7m didn't account for when droning is, okay, someone's got to get rid of that so we can cut down towards the piano hall. So I don't want to say it's like they've suddenly dropped off here in the last round or two, but there are more mistakes starting to appear in their gameplay that they haven't really seen in the rounds prior.
Chanka being brought along by Rix. Interestingly, we've got the smoke as well. So we've got sort of double denial there. We don't have the smoke, so we've got single denial as KC is going to take down Hoven immediately. I don't know how that has come about. I can't imagine for a second that Hoven was spawn peeking on the smoke. That would very much surprise me. So I think that might just be w7m taking a spray at a barricade, and sometimes you just catch somebody stood behind it.
Absolutely that, yeah. Looking here for some
No, it might have been an attempt at a peek. I think it was. What are you doing on the smoke, Hoven?
Maybe he had
I know they've got the Tachanka for the denial. He's likely been playing as a roaming smoke, but even still.
A few teams have done this, actually. I'll give a shout out to KaosX as well. I think Sir KaosX, his tag is on Twitter. He was talking about this, where he was saying it's KAOS, if you want to go and look. He was saying a number of LATAM teams have been spawn peeking with his army, which he doesn't understand. You've got things like Jaeger and Malusi. The normal two roamers that you see in this game are those two. They're the ones that will be out in the map because their gadgets are place and forget. Put down your ADSs, put down your Banshees, drop your barb, your bulletproof cameras, whatever, and then you are literally just a gun. You don't bring much else into the round at that point. It's your gadgets which persist after death. So they're the two that you want doing spawn peaks. A smoke, for example, is one of the best and most impactful late round gadgets, is not the operator that you want to be spawn peeking. Herd's almost paying for that cheeky little peek with his life, but keeping himself alive at least for now.
I think the way to really sort of contextualise the peak on the smoke is let's see how successful the Chanka is at denying a plant later in the round, if necessary. And that will be the answer to the question. You know, would Smoke have been able to deny that area, that lane, that plant, where Tachanka may struggle? It may not get to that point. We may not get that sort of direct comparison, but just keep it in your mind if that does come along and those canisters start being unsuccessful at finding the spot where the plant's going down or where they need to be, and you might just get a good idea of what I'm saying there at that point. Now then, we're going to have this open off. This told you he is going to stay there. He's going to get aggressive. He's only going to find himself a clone, and he's going to find himself dead as they try to push through. And it was the Shanka canister, I think, burning under his feet as well. And this is kind of what I'm talking about.
Chanka's really good for like areas and all, but he does not really stop plants going down. We've seen teams just run through 2 of his smoke canisters before, or his fire canisters, sorry, and just shrug it off. Ape finds 2 back, though, keeping Gaming in the game in what looked to be a very dominant round for w7m.
Ape's had a fantastic couple of rounds. He's 6-1, but he's going to get shut down as GDM manages to find the kill. The Tachanka's going to get peeked out if he's not careful. The big LMG managing to do some damage onto GDN, but he goes in. He knows the opportunity's there. That's the denial gone as well, and you don't have that smoke. You lost him on the peak, so you don't have the secondary option. Joe, he's looking to take a fight with the man in trophy. Nade comes through, forces him out of position. It's a 3v1. It's Volks, it's w7m, it's 7-5 on Chalet, and the unbeaten run of the LATAM team continues.
Still maybe a bit closer than they would have liked, but for Gaming, I think there were some really good promising signs. Look, we've hyped up w7m a lot in that game, and they still remain undefeated in regulation throughout the group stage. But for Gaming, again, some sharp players on there, some good rounds coming out. I think on the attacking side, a few things missing, that missteps or things they weren't really considering fully, and I'll give that to them. However, w7m get those 3 points very securely now, doubly lock themselves in the top of the group. What's not to love about these boys? We'll go to a quick break. When we come back, more